What is up, my fellow Jets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the New York Jets State of Mind podcast. This is a weekly podcast talking about everything New York Jets. On this Thursday, August 21st, 2025, this is your boy, Malcolm Harper, aka MH Jet. You can follow me on social media on X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at MHJ, which is one word, all lowercase. I also have a Facebook page as well. The audio version of this podcast is available on any of the digital platforms of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. You can find the video version of this podcast on my YouTube channel if you prefer to watch. To all of my first-time listeners, welcome to my podcast. Or if you are a first-time viewer watching this on my YouTube channel, welcome aboard to my channel. If you are already a subscriber, welcome back. Also, if you could do me a huge favor and share my channel and podcast and social media pages with not only other Jets fans, but NFL fans as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for tuning in. In this episode, I will recap last Saturday night's game against the New York Giants. I will be breaking down which player's stock is rising, who is falling after training camp, my projected 53-man roster, along with previewing the final preseason game at home against the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium. Now, let's get to my thoughts on last Saturday night's game against the New York Giants. The Jets lost the game 31-12. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I did like the scoring drive that ended with the touchdown drive from Brady Cook to Quentin Skinner. It's preseason. I'm not worried. The coaches don't game plan, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, let's move along. The 2025 Jets training camp is officially in the books. It ended yesterday. So here are my players that I think their stock has risen now that training camp is over with. The first player that I have on the rise is Quentin Skinner, the undrafted free agent wide receiver from Kansas. He's 6'5" with a lot of upside. He can provide depth at the wide receiver position. Moving on to the next player that I have on the rise is Kenny Nwahu. And you literally saw it on the opening kickoff of last Saturday night's game against the Giants. He is going to be a factor on special teams. And the last player that I think is on the rise is Brady Cook, the undrafted quarterback from Missouri. I like how he marched that down the field that led up to that scoring drive, as I mentioned, in last week's game against the New York Giants. My honorable mention is Arian Smith. The speed is there, and once he gets consistent with catching the ball, look out. Now, let's get to the players that I think their stock has fallen. The first player that I think has fallen off the cliff, unfortunately, is Malachi Corley. He has been a major disappointment. The last game against the Giants did not do him any favors. The next player that I think has fallen is Jeremy Ruckert. I know he can't catch, but he can block and may stick around on the 53-man roster. The last player that I think their stock has fallen is quarterback Adrian Martinez. The first drive of the second half against the New York Giants, he threw that interception on the run, and that was a bad decision. Now, let's move along to my projected 53-man roster. Remember, Jets fans, the roster needs to be cut down from 90 to 53 by this upcoming Tuesday, August 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, without further ado, here is my projected 53-man roster. I'm going to go position by position. Let's start with the quarterbacks. I have two quarterbacks on the roster, Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. And don't be surprised, Jets fans, if Brady Cook ends up on the 53-man roster, if Tyrod Taylor ends up being on short-term IR. He just had that arthroscopic knee surgery, and if he doesn't heal up in time, don't be surprised if Brady Cook ends up becoming the backup quarterback. And let's move along to the running backs. I have Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis, the three running backs that are going to be on the roster. Now let's move over to the wide receiver position. I have Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, Brandon Smith, and Quentin Skinner. Now let's move along to the tight end position. I have Mason Taylor, Stone Smart, and Jeremy Ruckert. Now let's move on to the fullback position. I have Andrew Beck. Now, don't be surprised, Jets fans, if he ends up becoming the second-string tight end on the depth chart if Jeremy Ruckert ends up getting cut. So moving right along to the offensive line. Old-fashioned John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, Armand Membu, Josh Myers, Xavier Newman, and Max Mitchell. Now, let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball, starting with the defensive line. I have Will McDonald, Quentin Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Jay Tufele, Michael Clemens, Tyler Barron, and 2 new additions to the defensive line, specifically at defensive tackle. And you guys heard the news yesterday of the trades. Let's start with Juwan Bridges. The Jets traded for Bridges and a 2026 7th-round pick to the Browns in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. Harrison Phillips. The Jets traded 2 6th-round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027, to the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for Phillips and a 2027 7th-round pick. And I think that Byron Coward is going to be placed on the short-term IR due to his ankle injury. Now, let's move right along to the linebackers. Quincy Williams, Jamie Irwood, Marcelo McCrary-Ball, Jamin Davis, Francisco Manukua, and Zaire Barnes. Now, let's move over to the secondary, starting with the corners. Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, Quantez Stiggers, A.Z. Thomas are the cornerbacks on the outside. Michael Carter II is going to be your slot cornerback. Let's move right along to the safeties. I have Tony Adams, Andre Sisco, Isaiah Oliver, Malachi Moore are going to be your safeties. Let's move right along to the special teams. I have Nick Folk as the kicker. I have Austin McNamara as the punter. Jamal Pritchett will be returning punts. And Kiki Nawahu will be returning the kickoffs. Thomas Hennessy is going to be the long snapper. I think that Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson are not going to make the team. Jeremy Ruckert, in my opinion, is a liability. He has not done anything since he's been drafted. So, like I said earlier, don't be surprised if Andrew Beck will be the second tight end on the depth chart, even though he will be listed as a fullback. Obviously, Jet fans, we will not know the official 53-man. Obviously, we will not know the official 53-man roster until this upcoming Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, let's move along and preview tomorrow night's preseason finale at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. The game will be televised on CBS 2 in New York City at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the New York market. Unfortunately, NFL Network will not be televising the game live. Ian Eagle and J.J. Watt will have the call. According to ESPN Bet, the opening line number was Jets at -3 with the over-under of 38.5. Now, the current line number is -2 in favor of the Jets with the over-under at 34.5. Obviously, most of the starters on both sides of the ball will not be playing in this game. I think that Adrian Martinez will be playing in the first half, and Brady Cook is going to be playing in the second half. Now, here are the 2 players that I am going to be watching for in this game. The first player that I'm going to be looking at in this game is Jeremy Ruckert. I think this is his last chance to make the 53-man roster. He's on the bubble, in my opinion. The other player that I'm going to watch in this game is going to be Malachi Corley. He has not done much. He is at the bottom of the depth chart at wide receiver. I think that this game is his last chance to try to get on the 53-man roster as well. He is another player on the roster bubble as well. So my prediction for this game is that the Jets will win this 21-14. So those are my thoughts on last Saturday night's game against the New York Giants, whose stock is rising and falling, my projected 53-man roster, and the Week 3 preseason finale at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before I get on out of here for the week, as far as my social media accounts go, I currently have 123 followers on TikTok. On Instagram, I have 128 followers. Since my last episode of my podcast 8 days ago, I've had 5 new subscribers on my YouTube channel. Now I now have 49 followers. Hopefully by the end of the year, as I mentioned in last week's episode, I can get up to 100 followers. On X, I currently have 91 followers, getting close to 100 followers. My numbers are growing, but I need more followers. So you can hit the like and subscribe below my video on my channel so that my podcast and my social media accounts can grow. That'd be greatly appreciated. And also leave a comment. I would love to reply to all you guys' comments. Now, with that said, I'm out. I can't thank you enough for the love and support. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be posting clips of this episode and the latest Jets news on all of my social media accounts of X, Instagram, and Facebook pages, respectively. Jets fans, you guys are the greatest. I will be back next week to recap what happened in the final preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Plus, we will all know who will be on the official 53-man roster once Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time rolls around. Also, we're going to know the 17 players on the practice squad as well, too. So, Jet fans, the regular season is right around the corner. It all begins on September 7th at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, I always end the podcast with the JETS, 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 Jets. Stay safe, take care, and go Jets.